Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to our Retailpreneur Foot Traffic Frenzy. And we're going to learn today about boosting those in-store sales. So I'm excited to see all of you here with us today. And we have assembled an amazing panel. Just me sitting here with these folks. I know most all of them and familiar with their business. So I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants today. And all I get to do is ask these some questions to help just guide the conversation. So we have assembled an amazing group here to help us elevate our game. So welcome. I'm going to jump right here for a second, just tell you a little bit about us. We are the Greater Roanoke and New River Valley Small Business Development Center, and we are funded in part through cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration and supported by America's SBDC. Virginia's SBDC, George Mason Enterprise. Other funding is provided by local administrations, economic development offices, organizations, and businesses that are champions in your corner. Thank you to our physical host, the City of Roanoke, for providing space and supporting our work. We currently serve City of Roanoke, Franklin County, which is my main area that I specialize in, Botetourt County, Allegheny County, Roanoke County, City of Salem, Town of Blacksburg, Town of Christiansburg, Pulaski County, City of Radford, Floyd County, Giles County, Town of Narrows, and Town of Pearisburg. My name is Jeff Robertson, and I am a member of this amazing Small Business Development Center team. I'm a part-time staff member here, and I have a primary focus on Franklin County, as I mentioned earlier, but you'll see me working with clients from all over our network. Alongside me today, admitting everybody into the waiting room and monitoring the chat, Heather, go ahead, take a second, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. It is so good to be here with you all, and thank you to our esteemed panelists. I'm excited that they have carved out time today to share about foot traffic frenzy and boosting their in-store sales. We are wrapping up day one of our Retailpreneur Conference, the virtual sessions. So I will be keeping an eye on the chat. Feel free to add questions there. We will have a question and answer towards the end, and I'll be just keeping an eye on that. We'd also love for you to introduce yourself in the chat and tell us a little bit more about you and your business and how we can connect with you. And I'll be sharing some other little nuggets as we go along. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Jeff, for hosting, and thank you to all of our panelists.
It's awesome, Heather. And for everyone who is unaware, Heather is the brain power behind this entire event. She has put a lot of time and effort into just the overall success of this project. And I get to show up and talk, which is what I enjoy doing. She has absolutely did all the back end that we need. Next up, we're going to hear from Nick. He's one of our panelists today. Nick, tell us about your business.
Sure. So my name is Nick Guacheta. I'm director of sales for Txtur. Txtur is a custom-made, made-to-order furniture manufacturer and retailer. Our flagship showroom is in the historic Fire Station 1 building in downtown Roanoke. That's 13 Church Southeast. In that building, we have our furniture gallery. We have a Northern European bar and bistro, and we have a 7-room boutique hotel. And we manage all of those businesses. And although all those 3 separate businesses have different modalities, they dovetail into the purpose of connecting people who want beautifully designed furniture and spaces with the craftspeople down the street who can provide them that. And so that's what we do.
It's so awesome, man. There's a lot going on there. That's amazing. Thank you for being with us today. Next up on our panel, we've got Dolores Vest. Dolores, take it away.
Hello. I'm Dolores Vest. I own Book No Further with my husband, Craig Coker. It is an independent bookstore in downtown Roanoke. We're right beside the market building. We feature our local and regional books. We have local authors, Appalachian fiction, nonfiction, and then specialty books and things that you might not find front and center at some of those big box places.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dolores. Okay, Kelsey, take it away.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Bryant. I own Bryant Orchards Farm Market in Daleville, Virginia. So we specialize in fruits and vegetables locally grown here in our region. We are a seasonal market. We are closed the months of January and February, and then we're open from March to December. Our market kind of changes depending on the season. So when we start in spring, we're shipping in a little bit of produce from the East Coast. Right now, we're in the middle of our busy season where fruits and vegetables are coming off of our farm and other local farms. And then we switch over to the busiest probably time for me, which is our fourth quarter. And we do custom gift baskets for businesses and local customers as well. We have around 75 local vendors who make up our market, and that's from meat to local honey, candles. So just lots of different locally handmade goods.
That's awesome. And located right there in Daleville, Virginia, with all that going on. Up next is Matt Thompson. Take it away, Matt.
Hey guys, I'm Matt Thompson. I'm the owner of Fleet Feet Roanoke. I acquired that business about 1.5 years ago, so I get to stand on the shoulders of giants myself. I think what we really do is we're all things movement. We're more than a running store. Running is our expertise, but that gives us the opportunity to provide solutions to those that are comfort seekers, those for pain relief. We have a wide variety of recovery, prehab, rehab solutions, as well as doing a lot of activations around town, getting people moving. Today's Tuesday, so I can't help but pitch Tuesday, 6 o'clock at Big Lick. We're always there Tuesday, 6 o'clock every Tuesday. Just getting the communities moving. So anything we can support to get folks not necessarily have to be an elite runner, but just getting your feet on the ground and moving around.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that was a great plug because we all need a little nudge sometime to get active. All right, we got saving absolutely probably the best for last, right, Whitney? If anyone asks, of course. Whitney and Catherine, you guys introduce yourselves and then we'll get started with our questions.
I am Catherine Justice with my lovely co-owner, Whitney Eversole. We own a women's clothing boutique. And basically we work on a wholesale basis. So we sell probably about 50 different designers that we curate the goods from. And we have 3,000 square feet.
Yep. We are located in Piccadilly Square on Franklin Road. And we have been co-owners for about 7 years now. So we're always constantly learning, but honored to be included in this panel. So thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for being here. All right, so we're getting ready to get started here. Question number one. We're just gonna go around the room here we'll start with Nick. Nick's gonna kick off our first question. If anyone needs to weigh in. And for everyone who's listening, if you have a question about the question and you need just some further explanation, make sure you put that in the chat because Heather is standing by to make sure that we stop and get all of your questions answered. So Nick, what are the most effective ways to identify and understand the needs and preferences of your local customer base?
I think the simple and maybe the kind of easy answer is revenue. When the point of our business and all businesses are to create value add services and products that people either obviously want or didn't even know exactly they wanted. And so it's about those dollars coming in on the front end that is proof that you're providing what that local market wants. Hopefully what the business owner is doing is somewhat conscientious and systematic, and they understand when they're making these small tweaks and they're kind of following this revenue to understand if the experiment is working or not. But if they need kind of pre-made memes to better tweak their system, earnest communication with clientele is always a great approach. I know we're almost probably verging on annoying. We talk to people who come into the showroom so often. We always want to know how they found us and what they think about things and what they like or dislike. Do they have any ideas about new products for the shelf, etc.? We just recently introduced a new product onto the shelf that we had kind of had our eye on, but I just kind of brought it up in passing, and this client was saying that she was ecstatic about it and normally has to travel way out of town to fetch it typically. Apart from that, there's all sorts of, every industry has, published literature that, does interviews with other business owners that are describing the new approaches that they're fiddling with as well. And so in these two approaches, you can kind of get, again, some preformed ideas to tweak your system. But at the end of the day, it's about, are people purchasing or not?
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that. But polling your existing customers is such a powerful tool. We don't do that enough. And I'm going to break script because I do this all the time. But Kelsey had said something that spoke to me during this question about having 72 products. And when you look at the number of products that you're talking about bringing into your store, Kelsey, how do you identify like those key products that you're bringing in? Because, and what got my mind working with you in this question is a lot of the stuff you deal with is perishables, and the shelf life is very limited. So you have to get those catered. So tell me, the same question: what are the most effective ways to identify and understand the needs and preferences of your local customer base, Kelsey?
So I'm going to clarify. The 72 was vendors. So each vendor has multiple products, right? So all of those vendors are all local vendors. And the biggest thing for me is knowing my target market. So if you don't know your target market, you don't know who you're selling to, how are you going to know what to sell them? So one of the things that I'm big on is social media analytics. So being able to look at my social media, it tells me exactly who is following me, who's interacting with me. I can post, about peaches, for instance. That's one of the biggest social media pushes we had probably last week. And our peach sales went through the roof for like the next 3 or 4 days because people are still commenting, people are still sharing, people are still liking. And so it's one, knowing your target market, knowing what they want, and then showing them that you have it so they want to come buy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dolores, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I wanted to share one of the things we do in the bookstore industry. Just the mainline publishers, independent publishers, and university publishers release about, on average, 2,000 new books a week. There is no way we can have them all. There's no way we can even know about them all. We spend a lot of time asking customers, what have you been reading? What do you recommend? What are you looking forward to? And we found that does two things. It helps us hone down what people in our area are interested in. If 3 or 4 people mention the same book, it's got some popularity locally. The other thing is it also starts a conversation, which goes way further to selling a book than trying to start with, hey, can we help you? So we rarely ever say that unless they walk right up to the counter. It's what have you been reading lately?
I like that. Qualifying questions is what we'll call those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Qualifying, and that's a great question to, if you show up on Friday, panelists, if you show up on Friday, we're going to talk a lot about forwards, and I know the guy who's leading that. So, but that's
the other I was going to say, the other little thing that does is it makes people feel good that you care about their opinion, so that you've put some value on them already.
There's folks love talking about themselves too, right? And sometimes I have to learn it the hard way because I spend too much time talking. Somebody's like, shut up, Jeff. All right, Dolores, this is you. What are some effective merchandising tactics that can capture customer attention and encourage buys? You let in with your qualifying question, but what about that? What about some of your merchandising tactics?
One of the things that of course, we have display windows, and we try to always, with a display, put some signage that tells the theme. The theme might be obvious to us, but maybe not to the person walking along. And it can be anything from a serious presentation of books. We did in believe it was April, the month of April, we did it in conjunction with Sarah here in the Valley about books about sexual assault awareness. And we had some signage there to something that's just silly. You know, one time we're casting around, have no good timely ideas. And we put up all orange covers and the sign simply said, "Aren't you glad you found the bookstore?" You know, and it just gets people to walk through the door. The most successful thing I did on a whim. There was a cartoon in the newspaper, showed a man run a bookstore and had no customers. He goes inside, comes back, tacks up. His sign says books for sale, and he tacks up right above it, banned books for sale. I came right to the store, made me a poster that says we sell banned books, and that has brought in single-handedly more people than anything else. And people like to talk about the banned books, and that along with our great big banner that says nothing but books. When I made the banner, somebody says, "But you can't see your logo." And I said, they don't need to see my logo yet. They just need to know there's a bookstore down this street.
Yeah, that's so cool. Whitney, Catherine, you want to weigh in on the same question? Just you guys are in retail clothing, right? What kind of tactics are you all using?
Right. So this is a huge part of the business for us. And I think the first thing is roping people in that visualization. So you want, for us, bright, sort of just standing out, pulling you in, making you want to walk in the door. We get so many people that just come flying in the door because they saw, you know, this girl with this outfit on in the window. And also super important to keep it fresh. Like we are a small town. You don't want to have the same mannequins and the same displays, you know, for a month. Like we probably change them every week. Like right now we're changing the front table. So you've got to keep it fresh, and also, especially for our business, having the answer before they ask the question. What shoes do I wear with this? Have the shoe next to it, have the purse, have the jewelry, have the full sentence for them. So they just feel at ease.
Yeah, and I think too, to add to that is, it's important for us, I think, to know how our customers move through our store, so we can effectively use that when we're merchandising. So, you know, we can group complementary items together. We can layer pieces so that we have, like Catherine said, the answer to a question. We can, you know, upsell multiple items at that point. You know, having little things at the front register for little grab, you know, you're really good at that.
I like the add-ons.
Yeah.
So like a candle and earrings right there at the end, that could add on $50 more.
Yeah, and I think we also try and utilize, you know, mannequins, different ways to merchandise our products, being tables or racks and things, just to emphasize, you know, something that's important about a product, or something that we, you know, just an interesting product feature, something new to the store. Yeah, we have a lot of fun with merchandising.
We do, and we all merchandise pretty differently. I like to merchandise by color. I think that's easy for the brain to sort of digest, because we do have a lot going on in our store. I don't know if anyone's been in, but it's a lot of print, a lot of pattern, a lot of colors. So
by our logo.
Yeah, our logo's just as loud as our store. So I think just kind of keeping it simple and easy for the customers to follow.
Trying to help people
I
solve
think
a
that's all
problem.
right. And you're absolutely right with the upsells, because if they'll buy, and I think there's some research, I know there's research on it because I've heard it, is if they'll buy from you one time, they'll buy from you up to 3 times. And that's the whole the method behind that, just merchandising for upsells. And I love the fact that last time I bought any kind of nicer clothes, I'm a t-shirt kind of guy, but I was outfitted and with a tie kind of hanging on my neck saying, "This is what you need," before I even had time to think. So I really appreciate that. Dolores, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make one other comment too. Sometimes people will assume that a bookstore is arranged the same way as a library, but we really do it more to do with, again, those commonalities and the things that can market together. And we think when we have a section or we're going to do something different, if I were a customer and I walked in here, where would I expect to find that? We also cross things. We had a cookbook last year that was in the horror section of all things, because it was foods that and recipes that appear in Stephen King novels. And we're like, the Stephen King horror readers is who's going to buy that, not necessarily your culinary fans. So we try to really think from the customer way out, which way to merchandise items. The other thing we do is we move things around. Books that can sit here for a long time, we can put in another space, and suddenly something that's been here 6 months is gone in about 6 hours.
That's crazy. That's really neat how you
Mhm.
mix it up and just learning about that. I can't wait tonight. I'll be like, let me show you all how this works in bookstores versus libraries. Kelsey, tell me this. How can retailers enhance the in-store shopping experience to encourage more frequent visits and longer stays? And I chose you for this question because you got a really small shop.
We do.
Yeah.
So one of the most important parts to our store is having that one-on-one connection with your customers, being friendly and welcoming, but also getting to know them. I'm terrible with names, so I might not always know a customer's name, but I can tell you that when Jeff shops in our store, he likes our sausage patties, or Heather Faye likes our chicken salad. Like, I know what they like. Um, I also know like our gluten-free customers. I could tell you that last time one of our customers came in, their kid had a cast on. So sometimes we ask about, you know, how's your son from his accident, whatever. But what that does for us is we're selling food. So it just set ourselves apart. Like, why are you going to come and shop at our store to buy your food, and instead of just going to a big box store? Well, a lot of people come to us not only because there is a difference between the taste of homegrown vegetables versus what you get at the big box store, but also because we want our customers to trust us. We want them to know that they're a part of our family and that we're feeding them the same thing that we are feeding our family. So educating them too about the difference between what they're purchasing at our store versus what they're purchasing at the big box stores. But for us, the friendliness and the connections that we make with our customers is the big difference.
Yeah, I told someone recently, maybe last night, that as much as the convenience of online is there, is online generally doesn't ask you how your kids are doing.
Mhm.
And those are powerful relationships, I think, that get overlooked, and we compete with that, but just it's hard to compete with, hey, how's your kids doing, and that personal connection that we provide. Nick, you got your hands up. Weigh in for me, my friend.
Sure, yeah. So I think that our showroom kind of takes this this notion to kind of the 11th degree, in the sense of what we are is, again, a manufacturer and retailer, and we are a furniture showroom that's attached to a full-fledged bar and bistro that is attached to a full-fledged boutique hotel. And we built these additional organs onto the showroom to, again, draw people in to interface with the product in a very long pace and much more intimate way than people genuinely or typically peruse a furniture showroom. And again, both of those things, it's not necessarily like kind of a small I mean, again, they're really full-fledged experiences unto themselves, and we draw in a lot of attention of people who never knew that we were a furniture gallery. But it is again a way to get people in the door to become exposed to the broader business. And again, also again, it's a means of getting people back over and over and over again. It's not kind of a one-trick pony. If folks like the bistro, they come frequently. If folks like the hotel, they come frequently. Additionally, I think this maybe a little bit about the last question too. As far as merchandising goes, a lot of our retail or our smaller items are items that are integrated in with this experience as well. So the dinnerware that we serve the food in the bistro is for sale. The cutting boards in which the stock board is served is for sale. The hand soap that's in all 9 of our bathrooms is for sale. The candles that are burning that, release the fragrance throughout the building are for sale. The coasters in which your glasses will be served on are for sale, etc. And again, these are well curated products as well. But what we try to do is think of every single experience the consumer could have in the building and choose a terrific product and give them the opportunity to take that product home.
Yeah, I like that. The store's for sale, right? I think everything price. You hear that? It's awesome to hear you say that. Dolores, you got your hands up. Go ahead.
Yeah, one comment I had is you have to be also aware of what you're selling. Ostensibly, we are selling books, but what we're really, for the most people who walk in the door, we're selling an experience, a chance to talk about books, a chance to come in and peruse books, find a book you haven't seen. So we focus more on that experience. What's that experience walking through the door than trying to have the exact book you might have asked for, given again that there's 2,000 new books a week. And that's one of the reasons that we focus our merchandising around vignettes, you might say. Last week I was straightening books and said, why do we have so many pirate books? I pulled them out to make a display, set them on a chair, and got busy. And 3 hours later, all the pirate books are gone. And some of it is just and it was history books, but it was also some kids' books and some other things. And I think that experience is what we really sell day to day as much as we sell books.
Yeah, and that leans into my next question, and kind of you teed me up to help introduce him with this question. But when you look at like Matt, shoes and fitness, and sometimes it's he becomes a hope dealer because people come to him looking for solutions to help them feel better. And just knowing that is, like you said, is kind of approaching it with the end in mind. But here comes Matt with our next question. And Matt, I want to know, and we talked about this a little bit before, what role does technology such as mobile apps or in-store kiosks play in boosting foot traffic and sales for you all over at Fleet Feet?
Yeah, we are independently owned, but we are lucky enough to be a part of a franchise. So we do get some let's say data that maybe some other small businesses don't necessarily get access to. So we're really dive into our POS system. It's very robust and be able to understand what kind of trends are taking place to help us both from a buying perspective, what it is that we're bringing into the store. We have visibility on what's doing well nationwide or in certain regions, but also to the small level around knowing what a guest may have purchased in the past, and we can bring up those past histories. When we're running around with our iPads, we're not only doing our scans, but we're looking at historical sales of that particular guest and getting a feel for what kind of products they may have enjoyed in the past. We're also able to look at cell phone data across different regions to understand where were somebody before or after they came to the store to help pinpoint how far are people driving to get to our location. We leverage our POS and loyalty program pretty robustly to capture emails and addresses. So we can do heat maps around, are we growing our reach? Are we shrinking our reach? Are people driving further or not? To help us identify maybe potential markets we should be focusing on. We'll be doing an activation on Thursday out of the Roanoke area into a different Roanoke area to help expand a little bit of our brand outside of just the Roanoke area. So these are all tools that we can use to both collect data on a macro level, but also make that guest experience that much better by understanding the personal level of what a guest may have purchased in the past.
And then you mentioned as well, Matt, you actually have a mobile app that is tell us a little more about that. And I think, and I want to lead you into this by saying that's probably one of the most underused things that your clients have. But tell me about your mobile app.
Yeah, it's a fantastic app in the sense that it gives even more, and I say from a fantastic point, not even so much from a retailer perspective, but from a guest perspective. If you buy a product online and you buy it from any of our other locations, that information will be collected in that app. Rewards programs, loyalty programs, how far you are from your next reward, recommendations, all of that is located in the customer's app. That's visibility that I don't have. I don't have visibility into what they bought online or what they bought in Greensboro. But so I think that the key to an app is maybe to get to that point is it needs to be valuable to your guest, to your market, to your consumer. Having an app that's really focused on yourself and your own revenue or data collection ultimately won't be utilized by the guest. But getting that information out sometimes can be difficult. We have this great app that sits on the shelf, so people invest so much in there. But how do you get the value out of it is getting folks to actually use it and communicate the value of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'll speak to something you had said earlier. For the folks that don't have this high level data that you have access to through your franchise, a lot of times is supplier data. Is you can talk with your suppliers about what is those selling items, what is popular in other areas. So don't take for granted just because you don't have that at your fingertips that you can't find it easily. And then Heather and I had a deep conversation earlier just about how we can manipulate in-store data to really help drive and forecast for future sales as well. Go ahead, Dolores. Let me hear what you had to say on the topic there.
Yeah, we have some technology that sometimes surprises people. We'll get visitors to the store say, oh, I just use, just listen to books. And we'll tell them that, in fact, we can offer them audio books through a program called Libro FM that supports independent bookstores having a alternative to, I'll just say the big word, Audible. And what was surprising to me is I found that it's offered through the industry itself. And I was surprised when I got into this business that was available. And it's really wasn't very much to get started. We simply collect a bit of the fee that goes into that, and people are oftentimes surprised. The one thing we do have here is a desktop setup that's an extra one in the store that we can show people how it works. If they're like, well, I'm so used to whatever, we can show them how simple it works. And from time to time, we have that desktop sitting playing things like book conferences. C-SPAN has book TV some weekends, and we can have it playing that. So it's kind of low tech, but it actually serves a purpose in the store. All of this is, no cost to us. So that's the kind of marketing we really like.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're educating your customers along the way. All right. Thank you, guys. This is I'm taking a page full of notes over here myself, right? All right, Whitney, Catherine, how can small businesses effectively integrate their online and offline channels to create a seamless customer experience that drives in-store sales?
Well, I feel like we could talk about this for 2 days. So you really you really throw a big one at us, Jeff, but we'll take it as we can. This is something we talk about often. And so social media, especially Instagram, is a huge driver for us. And it's a driver for folks out of town, but also in town. So I think what we've always tried to do is somehow create the customer experience that you have when you walk in the door at Punch. Make sure that is displayed up there on social media too. Somehow, there's a lot of influencers out there. There's a lot of other boutiques. So somehow we have to stand out in our own little way. So that's really important. And I think the one word that comes to mind is authenticity. You want to create authenticity online and in the store. And I think showing all the staff online on social media, and then when you walk in, you see the familiar faces. I think that's comforting to kind of build that bridge from social media to in person, which is getting harder. I think some people are more timid now for an in-store experience. So just make it less intimidating and just be authentic is, and then probably where Whitney wants to jump in is definitely keeping our inventory on track on the website. There's nothing worse than when someone orders something online and we have to call and say, we're so sorry, our inventory is a little bit off, and we don't have that product. When that does happen, we'll offer them a discount or a discount code, but that's something, especially as a small business, we're always chasing the perfection of the inventory, which I know probably everyone on here can relate in some way.
Yeah, that's
go ahead, Jeff.
go ahead. That's why I was just like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Go take it away, Whitney.
I was going to say, in addition to that, I think when you do have any type of online presence, like Catherine was saying, we try really hard to build a strong brand awareness, a strong brand recognition online. so that people traveling, just people even local, when they come into our store, they feel like they know us. They feel comfortable coming into our environment, which, you know, as a lot of small business owners know, sometimes can be intimidating. So I think it's creating a story online, getting to know your coworkers, your staff. And I think too, one thing Catherine really is good at is using quality photography on social media, on the websites, which I think increases conversions in store because people are more likely to purchase something when they see one of us in it, when they see one of our coworkers in it.
They don't like model pictures. They don't like stock photos. They want the real deal.
And I think that also just helps with increasing trust.
Yeah.
Which is what we're always, that's probably one of our main drivers here, is increasing people's trust. They want to come in and ask us questions like we talked about earlier. How do I style this? How do I, you know, where am I going to wear this? And then two, I think, you know, another thing that increases trust for us is making sure that our website is optimized as much as possible, our inventory is optimized as much as possible. Making sure we have multiple methods of payment on our website. People feel trusting in that. You know, all of our information is updated as to hours, where we're located, phone number. You know, we're going to answer the phone. We're going to answer Instagram messages as soon as we can. And so I think, you know, it's so important for your online and your in-store to have a seamless kind of story.
I mean, people come in all the time and say, oh my gosh, Catherine, Whitney, I feel like I know y'all. It's so cool to finally meet you. I follow you all the time. Y'all are so fun. So that's the whole bit these days.
One question I have for follow-up on that is, how much do you guys train your staff? Do y'all spend time training staff to expectations?
Oh yeah,
We do.
yeah. You gotta, knowledge is power.
Yes.
You know, no matter what business you're in, I think the more knowledge you have, the trust is there.
Well, and I think, you know, this also goes back maybe from a, you know, not necessarily a numerical inventory standpoint, but when our staff knows our inventory, that is probably one of the best ways that they can be trained. Also, trying on product research, product knowledge, so that we can share that with our customers.
Like, and what we mean by that is, okay, this dress runs this way. So, you know, you've got a certain body type. That's maybe not the best one, but let me show you this product. It's great for your body type.
I think what I hear too, and just knowing you guys' business and been around both of you, limited, but enough to know what you're seeking there is, when you guys are absent, it's like you're still in the room because of the attention to detail and the culture that you've built with your team inside that business as well, right? So that's why training is super important. So when you are absent, it's like you're both in the room and your staff's kind of hearing you in their ear. But then I get this question a lot, is about influencers. There's no bigger influencer for your business than you. And you two do, yeah, you do too. And then you train your staff to influence on your behalf because they take ownership inside of your business and do all the things that we're looking for. So just definitely big kudos to. And I thought exactly the example of you know, that tip of the spear, that gold star service that everyone could really model after is in that mind. So Matt, you had your hand up, my man. Go ahead.
I know, Jeff, I think you're kind of hitting right on it. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't cover what you were just covering right now, talking about, you know, driving traffic into your store. That's one element of it, but you know, your guests is your biggest marketing tool, and that experience that they have with your company, with your staff, with the whole from beginning to end. As business owners, our personalities are reflected in our culture. And I always say culture eats strategy for breakfast. The best ideas, the best strategies, the best social media, the best everything cannot outcompete just an optimum culture where everyone on your team believes in the vision that you have set forward. They're all rowing in the same direction. They're all fully trained. That you are the gatekeeper of if that employee can engage a guest, and never letting go of that ownership. And we have in our team, we have a culture of, I'm a big three guy. So we succeed together, we get 1% better, and we have extreme ownership. So having those elements in your culture, that ensures that you have an awesome guest experience, and then that person becomes an advocate for you out into the community and drives revenue that way.
Yeah, become evangelical with you. Absolutely, spot on. I think with the way Catherine and Whitney guided that conversation, we could probably pause here and just throw down on this question for the next several hours. But Catherine, you're absolutely right. And then you mentioned your Insta strategy and them seeing you and the realness of you all too. So just this is an amazing question. I appreciate everyone's input. But we're going to take it over to Nick. Go back to the top of the lineup here for how can retailers engage with their local community to build stronger.
I'm not sure if I'm froze or if the host
Yeah,
froze
that's
slightly.
Jeff. You're good, Nick.
Okay, okay.
Did you get the question? I'm sorry, because
I believe so. I think I got the most of it. With local community, I think I perceived this question slightly different. The thing that came to mind for me was integrating with other businesses. We're very fortunate to be here in the downtown area. And I mean, outside of the downtown area, we've gotten to meet so many fantastic business owners and team members of other businesses. And I think from our perspective, integrating with the local community has really taken place at that level. With the clientele, again, we do have, the bistro and the hotel, and we host events and all sorts of things. But one thing that's been particularly interesting and fulfilling is, again, integrating with other businesses. And the way we approach that is just with as much kind of earnestness and transparency and kind of a win-win mentality as much as possible. We just a lot of the times we sit at the table with a very kind of open, kind of wide open table perspective. And it's just a matter of brainstorming what really works for both businesses, again, particularly here in the downtown community, how we can integrate, how we can cross promote, how they can serve our clientele and we can serve theirs, et cetera. And again, because our showroom can also host events and pop-ups and different things like that, those types of relationships typically get to manifest into something fairly charismatic here in the building. And that's been a really beneficial and very, very fun aspect of the job.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate you sharing all that. Kelsey had her hand up and she wanted to weigh in as well. Take it away, Kelsey.
Well, for local community, it's a little different, probably in our business, but I volunteer on the local farmers market board. We set up a little bit of the farmers market that's just down the road from our brick and mortar, but it's more to support the market. There's not as many produce vendors as they would probably like. And so we set up sometimes during the season to just kind of have more there. More people brings in more customers, but just volunteering on the board, although the farmers market doesn't directly impact my business, I'm definitely community over competition minded. And it's just a way to like support other local farmers or other makers, and get connections. Some of the growers or makers that sell at the farmers market also are vendors in my store. And it's really just the connections. And like I said, the community over competition.
Yeah, I like that. Dolores, what you got?
We end up being approached a lot by organizations wanting us to partner on something and get a lot of requests for sponsorships and stuff. And what we try to focus on amongst those are the ones that are supporting the arts, supporting something local. And we go out and reach out to organizations if we think they are either not aware of us or not aware how we could sort of work together on something. Back in, I believe it was May, this was a little out of town. It was in Floyd. There was an author coming to town, and it was a big deal. There'd been a book there that had essentially been censored, and the author was coming to town. It's a national author coming to town, and there is now, thank goodness, I'll tell you, there's a new bookstore in Floyd, but they hadn't opened at the time. And we just contacted them and said, hey, this person is coming way out of their way to promote this book that is being censored there. And it's a good thing for the community. And I will go all the way to Floyd to sell books for her if you would like us to. We normally would not make enough money on a trip like that to even consider it. But that was one that we felt like was important to the community and important to this author. We also work closely with anything in the city related to arts. We've cooperated with one of the art galleries down here. We did a book and art event together, and just anything that we think we can, some of it for the business itself, but also for our relationships with the community. We have something simple as just a bulletin board that if you are a nonprofit or a small organization, you can advertise in our store. That's something that we have a central spot for. That's something that we can help with. Anything we can do there. The other thing important downtown is we will participate in just about anything Downtown Roanoke Inc. wants to do. If nothing else, I say if it's got a map, I want my name on it. So some of those things are highly successful. Some of them we barely know they happen, but we do try to support them because it's kind of rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely. So everybody's got an oar in the water and rowing together. That's Matt, me and Matt drink from a lot of the same wells because we have some of the same isms when we talk. Dolores, tell me this: how can loyalty programs be structured to not only retain customers, but also encourage increased in-store spending?
One of the things that we have found with loyalty programs, and we did a lot of research on this, is you have to have your incentive match up with your clientele. When we first considered loyalty programs, we were simply doing it to give them a bargain on a book. You could earn so much to get a percentage off. And that, I'm sure people enjoyed getting a discount on the book in the future, but that was not the thing that seems to be of most interest to people. We are lucky that in our industry, there is something called advanced reader copies. Those are books that are given to us. They cannot be sold because oftentimes they are preprints and they have typos in them and stuff, but we can use them in a rewards way. We always give those away if you buy a book, or at the 3 times a year we really do it is Small Business Saturday, the Downtown Sidewalk Sale, and Independent Bookstore Day, and we give these away. They're very readable books. It could be the next bestseller that might cost you $32, for a hardback copy, but here you can have this free paperback. That has been very good. The other thing is just the ability to keep track of people with their addresses. And when we see the book that says, oh, remember that fella that bought whatever, he would really like this. And we can go back and look to see what he bought and sent him a special note. That's the kind of one-to-one loyalty that I think does the most good for us.
Personalization. Anyone else? This is a great topic.
We have a program, so I can speak to it directly, and then also kind of maybe echo some of the stuff Dolores had mentioned. So our structure is around timing. So that's, you have to be time bound. Just providing rewards that don't expire doesn't really encourage anybody to actually visit the store again. And then having limitations on, those tiers on how do you earn them, and matching that, as Dolores said, to what your customer base is. So basically 1 or 2 transactions in a typical basket of goods for us would get you into those tiers and have you earn credits, and those credits can be then redeemed within a 6-month period of time, which is a typical life cycle for someone who's active and enjoying the products. So we have that program, and I think I think it does provide a value to the guests and provides a value here to the store. But I'll want to piggyback of what Dolores saying, like when you're a customer here and we get to know you and we have those conversations and we know you're running that ultra marathon or we know you're doing your first 5K or we have those conversations, we'll make those notes. And then we'll do something, whether it be a care package on race day or a note even on, or be at that race and be at that finish line for that individual to make sure that we're supporting their journey. If folks haven't read the book Unreasonable Hospitality, I really encourage you to do that. It's a core principle to our team. Every new employee gets it, and we discuss it as they read through the book. But finding those magic moments to create those connections, that's going to outpace any type of rewards program that can be manufactured.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Those are great for customer retention. Do any of you all have any straight just loyalty programs? Buy one, get ones? Whitney, Kelsey, you guys have anything along those lines or?
I don't.
Yeah, cool. And not everyone should, right? It's just some folks do, some folks have a punch card, some folks have a what have you, but it's not deployable in every setting. It just depends on the industry. So yeah, it's a good stuff, you all. All right, so we're down. We got about 9 minutes. Kelsey, I wanted to ask you real quick. You spoke on your Facebook data, which is amazing, right? And we're talking someone who really gets to know their customers. But are you using any of your point of sale data or any of those analytics to just help inform decisions? Anything along those lines? So can you speak to that for us for a second?
Yeah, so we use Square for retail. Pretty much all of our products get barcoded. I use a very detailed barcoding, if you will, system. Everything's broken down by categories, then individual items, and then variations from there based on whether it's flavor or scent, depending on what it is. For one, it's just the only way that I can track what is moving, right? What's moving, what's popular, what maybe needs to come off the shelf and suggest a new product to our vendors. Some of our vendors are consignment and some of them, we purchase wholesale from, depending on the vendor. But I still communicate with our vendors. They get a weekly sales report. All of our vendors who are on consignment get a weekly sales report. And so they will see exactly what items are selling, what scents are selling, what flavors are selling. And I look at it daily. I mean, I send it weekly, but just being in there, I had a note down here to discuss constantly being present in your business. So this time of year with the kids being out of school, I'm not in the market during business hours as much as my customers would always like for me to be. But you can guarantee you that if you come by before hours and definitely after hours, after the kiddos have gone to bed, I'm at work sometimes. And that's just because I have to be constantly present. You just said something earlier about us having perishable items, and we are. And although we train our team and I trust our team, it never hurts to have a second set of eyes on everything to just go through and make sure that everything looks great for the next day, or, this is looking low and somehow I missed it on the report. I can get into contact with the vendor and get that replaced or restocked as soon as possible.
That's awesome. And yeah, that's exactly what we have to do. Sometimes you have to be hands-on when it's convenient for you, right? And that's good. Dolores, you wanted to weigh in. Give me about the minute answer, and then we're going to do a little rebound for the end.
I'll just say data matters. I found out years ago in my another life as a marketing person, just because you think you know what the data is going to tell you will surprise you every time. We pull reports and I was like, how did we sell that much in horror in 1 week? And I'm like, but we did, so let's order some more. And we also match to zip codes. We collect zip codes and then match sales trends to zip codes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I just switched some of our conversation. We touched heavily on a couple of the questions just about it, merchandising in the store and all those things. There's a couple but we really covered those. Catherine, and I feel like she and I is going to get back together at some point in time and cover the importance of staff training and go down a really deep dive rabbit hole with her on that one, because it's such an important, even for the stuff that I work on, is training your staff that is and creating the proper culture is essential. But I'm going to take us to our last question that was on the sheet, and I want to hear from all of you. It's 5 of us. We got 5 minutes, so we'll take about a minute each. Nick, you lead us off here. What emerging trends should retailers be aware of that could impact in-store foot traffic and sales in the near future? Everybody be thinking about it and give me the one thing that you think, like, this is what I'm thinking about. Take it away, Nick.
Well, sir, I don't have anything particularly interesting to say about this question. It's really the one question I think kind of stumped me. I'm not sure if everyone has felt this way. I've been working in this position for roughly 3 years, and growing up, my father owned a chain of restaurants that I was in, and I feel like everyone who does that sort of thing month after month fashions the kind of excuse in the narrative of why the month went well or why the month did not go well, as far as trying to predict that environmental trend of what took place. I think what we're looking at as far as furniture sales go in the upcoming is the summertime months, maybe things being folks being out of town, folks being away, things being warm and inhospitable, and it not being particular months where people are looking to fashion their living room because they're just existing more so out of doors. So from our perspective, I think our product certainly moves based on the season. And so again, from Txtur's perspective, we're looking at a type of although maybe foot traffic in total might not wane so much, that particular clientele who's there to design a living room might change. So hopefully we'll see maybe bistro sales increase and selling cocktails on the back patio increase, something like that. But I don't know how many couches we'll be selling over the next 60 days.
Yeah. Dolores, what you got? What's on your mind?
Probably my best advice about trends is to listen to the people around you. I have my eyes and ears, but my staff live different lives and they hear other things. I learned my lesson with stickers. I don't want stickers. That has nothing to do with books. No stickers, no stickers. Finally tried stickers, and thousands of stickers later, we are doing real well. So just listen to the people around you and you'll know the trends. I think we see, as far as books specifically, we see some good annual trends and we're pretty good at spotting them. But watching what's around you is the best thing.
Kelsey, what you got?
Thankfully for me, I think the buy fresh, buy local is still a trend, and I hope it stays a trend. But really, I do think that just buying local is, sounds like that's what people want to do. They like to shop online for certain things, but they definitely like the in-person experience.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Matt, what you got?
So the first thing I think about on the macro trends is AI, virtual reality, and how our types of businesses could be supplemented with something along those lines. Asking ChatGPT what the best footwear brand for me is with a cell phone scan. You could see that happening in not too distant future. So what we try to do is try to maintain a little bit what Kelsey was just referring to is our experience, right? That connection, that experience. I think that's always going to be the other end of that pendulum that's swinging. So being lukewarm, probably not a best idea, either going all in on the technology or all in on that personal connection. I think you have to pick a lane and go in it. On the footwear specific or the athletic specific, athleisure is huge. The products keep getting better and better. The technology keeps getting better and better, but the prices are still eking up and up. So that leaves a space for maybe a mediocre product at lower prices that we have to be aware of. If that becomes a thing, then we can always pivot into that space. So those are kind of a macro and a micro type of trend for us.
You touched on exactly what I was going to tell Nick. It's just being aware of just how AI is going to kind of bring a new conversation to the table. Whitney, if you want to start with you all, and we'll close out with Catherine, and then I've got couple slides to cover for the audience, and then we'll open up for Q&A. So take it away, Whitney.
Yeah, just very quickly, I think you can't replace Google's ability to help people find your brick and mortar store. So make sure your Google My Business profile is updated. It's accurate, updated.
Times. Yeah. If only we had a crystal ball, right? But I have been reading that Gen Z is really, really pivoting away from so much online interaction. I could just be way too positive, but these younger kids have just been thrown into the digital world for so long, like they're just starved for real face-to-face brick and mortar interactions. So hopefully that's the case. And I think influencers are on the way out. So
I think you're spot on with that. Is I'm going to always lean into what I said. There's no, if folks are struggling to be an influencer, connect with me. I can help you figure that out. But absolutely. And I think I have read some stuff to where more and more young folks were putting their phones away and looking for that different experience. And they've learned a positive lesson from how we negatively consumed it as adults. Right. So, thank you all. All right, real quick, I want to thank Freedom First and the market building, but mostly let's look at our presenting sponsor, Localite. They have some really cool. They've got a cool app that is just made for retail. So make sure you check them out. The SBDC is active on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You'll find daily content and updates on our Instagram, and then all sorts of trainings that we published over to our YouTube. Saving the date, making sure that if you mark your calendars for Entrepreneur Her event, it was an amazing event. I was for the first one, I think 2 years ago. I got to help park cars as I mentioned earlier, but make sure you save the date for that upcoming event on September 20th and 21st. And then if you're a foodie, and into the Nick, I'm excited to see you at our Foodiepreneur events as well, so you can speak to all things food on the other side of the coin with all the irons you have in the fire. So October 21st through the 25th. And for the folks for you guys on the panel, and for everyone that is joining us, if you're looking to work with an amazing team, you can scan the QR code and you can get advising from our team, which includes Heather, myself, Tom Tanner, and Amanda Forrester. So let's open it up for questions. Heather, and if you all have direct questions for the panelists, if you want to, my question is if you put that in the chat, or if you raise your hand and we can unmute you as well. So take it away.